Rebecca's story. My partner left me when I was 5 months pregnant. I knew when I made the decision to become a parent that I would probably be doing it alone, but I was still devastated. I was evicted from my home as the landlord didn't want any children in the place. And I had to leave college as my ex-partner was on the same course and I couldn't face seeing him every day. It was hard, but I kept my focus on my child and I found us a place to live. And after she was born, I managed to go back to education. I was very motivated and I was proud that I was raising her alone. When my child was 3 years old, her father got in touch and wanted to see her. I was delighted at first. I'd always wanted her to know her father. But I didn't realise that having him involved would bring a load of new issues and problems. In 2008, I arrived on the doorstep of one family in tears. I was so frustrated and confused. I had good friends, but they were all too involved in the situation to give impartial advice. One family provided me with a space to cry and to talk about all the issues I still had with my ex-partner. They made me feel that my opinions and experiences were valid and gave me the confidence to carry on.
When we talk about the circumstances in which Cherish came into being, we're really talking about a system in which women, I was going to say they were like second-class citizens. They were not like second-class citizens, they were second-class citizens. And I did this a couple of years ago, and I thought maybe it was worth reading very, very briefly through this, which is 10 things a woman couldn't do in Ireland when Cherish was founded. She couldn't keep her job in the public service or a bank if she got married. She couldn't sit on a jury. She couldn't buy contraceptives. She couldn't drink a pint in most pubs. She couldn't collect her own children's allowance unless her husband gave her permission to do so. Children's allowance was automatically paid to the father. She couldn't get a barring order against a violent partner. She couldn't live securely in the family home because the husband could still sell the home without her consent up to 1976. She couldn't refuse to have sex with her husband. Marital rape was regarded as a contradiction in terms. She couldn't choose her own official place of domicile. A woman's domicile was automatically assumed to be that of her husband. And she couldn't get the same rate of pay for a job as a man. Well, 9 of them have changed at least. Now, all of these things changed. And again, actually, sorry, they didn't change, they were changed. And they were changed by obstreperous, brilliant, loud, feisty, insistent women who got stuck in and forced the society to change. And the foundation of Cherish is very much part of that movement. And when we celebrate it, I think we celebrate it in and of itself, but also as one of the sparks that kindled enormous change in Irish society. And it's no harm to remind ourselves what that change consisted in. It certainly consisted in change in the law. It's already been mentioned this evening, of course, the winning of the first social welfare allowances for unmarried mothers in 1973 is an important landmark. But it's important to remind ourselves that it took another 14 years, up to 1987, for that vile concept of illegitimacy, the idea of an illegitimate child, that absolute obscenity, to be removed from Ireland. Worth remembering that when someone who shall remain nameless in a publication that unfortunately should be ashamed of itself in this regard, used the phrase mothers and bastards. The public tide of opinion, if you turned on the Josephy programme the following that day, was not so much being heard from single mothers or necessarily from people who grew up in families with single parents. The first wave you got were grandparents, were often men middle-aged or elderly men saying, that man is calling my beautiful grandchild a bastard, and I won't have it. And what a wonderful moment that was, out of something very ugly. What we suddenly realised was the joy, the pleasure, the pride that has been given to generations of people who can actually simply acknowledge their own reality, can feel comfortable with their own family histories, with the connections that they have. I know in my own family, one of my nieces is a single mother, and how wonderful it is. My parents are still alive, and it doesn't occur to them for a single moment that that grandchild or that great-grandchild, the first great-grandchild in the family, is in any way different from any of their other children or grandchildren. When we go back to 1972 and we think about the phenomenal effect that in the beginning a relatively small group of women had, both on their own lives and the lives of women like them, but I think more broadly on this society. We really can, at this moment at least, celebrate the power of change, celebrate the capacity of proud people to change their own lives, and in doing so, to make their society better. Thank you very much to Cherish, thank you very much to all of you.
Story. Well, where shall I begin? With the shock when the father of my little girl left shortly after her birth, or the deep feeling of helplessness and failure I felt totally alone as a foreigner in this country, or with the fear of not being able to go on, being so desperate that I even thought about ending it all, or with a telephone call, which thank God changed my life as they referred me to one family. That was the start of my very personal journey towards a new life. It did not take long for one family to become my family. The crash was a godsend for someone like me, who was isolated without any support. With the staff's loving and professional care, my daughter made an incredible step in her development. I started weekly sessions with a wonderful counsellor and attended everything on offer. All the self-development courses and seminars. My weeks, my months, my next 2 years were built around one family, their support, information and encouragement. Step by step I regained my self-confidence and I started holding my head high in a totally new way. I was a crumbled mess when I came in and left as a person full of hope for the future. Thank you, one family. You saved my life and I will never forget that.
This is Joanna's story. I know that one family is there to support my daughter and myself if we need help. And at the moment, we do. All family types have challenges, but when it comes to childcare, these challenges are more acute for one-parent families. I'm a qualified teacher, but I do not have a permanent or a temporary job. I rely on day-to-day subbing. My father was a huge support to me, as he helped me care for my daughter, bringing her to school when I got called at 7:45 a.m. in the morning for work at short notice. When he died suddenly, on top of the huge loss his death posed to my daughter and myself, there was also a huge impact on my ability to be available for casual and substitute teaching work. 20% of children belong to one-parent families, but yet, in classrooms in Ireland, the only family type mentioned is the one based on two parents. One family understands the challenges that my daughter and I face in our day-to-day lives. The fact that there is an organisation out there fighting for us brings great reassurance and comfort. Thanks to one family, I do not feel alone.